My name is Eric Jones. I'm the President and Executive Director of the Volcan Mountain Foundation. Over the years, the foundation has accumulated about 1,100 acres that we own and manage. We're at the beginnings of an extensive forest management project that began with a forest management plan led by ecologists and foresters to give us a scientific basis for what we're doing. We then went to secure funding and are now in the beginnings of a 3-year effort to help steward and protect this land. In particular, we're interested in forestry health and also in wildfire resilience. Wildfire has been a part of the landscape for millennia. It has always been here and it will always be here. We know fires are coming. The question is, how resilient is this forest to the next fire that comes through? Part of our efforts is to go through the standing mature forests and clearing out that accumulated fuel load so that that next fire that comes through burns through slowly and burns through with less heat and doesn't go up into the crown and destroy the forest. So in this area, we're implementing the forestry practices led by the conservation science. The area behind me here has been masticated and this is in treatment as we speak. Here on this hillside is the natural regeneration of a forest. This is a small couple hundred yard zone where the forest is coming back from the fires that came through 20 years ago. Beyond what we can see, though, is the dense overgrowth chaparral that's taken over and prohibited or inhibited the regrowth of this forest. So this hillside has a dense growth of cedars and other conifers that are regrowing. The foresters tell us that this is perhaps too dense. These trees are actually competing against one another. So one of our practices will be to thin out this hillside so that there's more nutrients, there's more moisture, there's more sunlight, and you'll see much more rapid regrowth of this forest after the practice that we're going to put in place here. We have ongoing needs to fund our organization to make sure that we have the resources in place to respond to events as they arise, and also to keep ongoing programs funded and functioning. We have a thriving education program that we support with a part-time educator and volunteers.
Hi, my name is Janice Smith. I'm the education coordinator at the Volcan Mountain Foundation. So I do a lot of the work with the kids, teaching them about nature and outdoor education. I also do wildcrafting classes for adults where we engage with nature in a deep way by working with plants and crafts. And I also do forest bathing walks on the mountain. I am a certified forest therapy guide, and so I just love helping people to get a deeper connection with nature. And honestly, I'm not a therapist. It's also called forest therapy, but I'm not a therapist. The forest is the therapist. The guide opens the door, and I love opening the door for people to, explore that deeper relationship with nature.
Julian children, Ramona children, Santa Isabel, as far away as San Diego, will come here for the day, and our education coordinator is here to put on education programs and immerse them in nature. We feel that that is an extremely important part of our program to get people, starting with children. We have an adult education program as well, but they have to be connected to nature. They have to get their hands in nature. They have to have their 5 senses into every aspect of nature. The wildlife, the plants, the weather, the pond behind me has become a really important part of our education program. And we serve all the kids, kindergarten through high school and beyond, really. And we just recently have structured a deal with the Julian School District to get every single child on the mountain twice a year once in the fall, once in the spring, from kindergarten through 8th grade. So the children of Julian are going to really feel that Volcan Mountain is a special part of their childhood, and that they truly understand that this beautiful area is so important to their lives and the wildlife and the ecosystem. One of the things they're going to learn is that Volcan Mountain is right in the middle of a whole plethora of other protected areas, including Cuyamaca State Park, Cleveland National Forest to the south, Palomar Mountain to the north, and Zaborrego Desert to the east. And Volcan Mountain sits right in the middle of that, so it's a really important wildlife corridor. It just connects all those habitats and ecosystems.
My name is Doug Andrews. I'm a park ranger for the County of San Diego, and I work here at Volcan Mountain and San Isabel East-West preserves and a small preserve down in Borrego Springs. Here I've lived in Julian for 25 years, and I just absolutely love it up here. The mountains are unique, and the plants and animals that are here. I get to work with trail cameras out in the parks and see weekly pictures of mountain lions, bobcats, coyotes, and all kinds of wildlife. I have about 12,000 acres that we patrol and are responsible for, and it's set aside as a preserve. So there's a very small portion of hiking trails that are open to the public, but the rest of it's actually set aside as a preserve for plants and animals. One of the challenges for wildlife is the fact that as development keeps happening, we want to keep the preserves as is, and I know the county would like to keep adding property as they can, and that's for wildlife corridors is very important now that especially like mountain lions can travel back and forth and breed with other DNA so they don't get islands, genetic islands, and have too much interbreeding like is happening like in LA area. We need the native plants to be able to grow freely without being disturbed, so all that is super important for us.
My name is Elizabeth Washburn. I am an artist. I live in San Diego. Most of my artwork is inspired by nature, the well-being that it gives me, and how much I care about the environment and how much I want it to be protected. I came to one of these events a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, I'd really like to do that. So I looked up the Rubinson Endowment, which is the supporter of the artist portion of that part of the Volcan Mountain Foundation, the program, the Artist in Residency program. And so I applied with a proposal to make art about the symbiotic relationship between the plants and animals along the Volcan Mountain watershed. And so the more I learned about what Volcan Mountain Foundation was doing, and then having the opportunity to get out onto the trails and hiking and seeing all of the conservation and preservation that they're doing, trying to restore it back to its natural state, the whole thing is just massively inspiring.
I'm Dave Rubinson, and a member of the board for Volcan Mountain Foundation. And my connection to VMF is my own personal connection because we've been part-time residents up in Julian for decades. But also my mom and dad, when they moved back to San Diego for my dad to retire, found a place here in Julian, and they've always loved the mountains, and these mountains were among the most special they'd ever seen, and so they built a house up here. Mom was an artist, Dad was an electrical engineer. What she and my dad shared with respect to the love of Julian and their appreciation for mountains and open space and how important it was for people. She decided to talk to Eric and the foundation about creating the endowment, and that's how it began. So I think that the major goal was to give people the opportunity to use the mountain in a different way, to use it as a source of inspiration for art, and also as a laboratory to study its science, and then to take the things which came out of those activities and spread the word to the rest of the region about the richness of Volcan as a place to understand and it's important in our lives. How did you find us? And what
Okay,
did
well, from, obviously the Volcan Mountain
Right.
Foundation, every single thing that I do, I like to somehow make my art about nature, because we need to make it more in your face. People need to know it's worth protecting.
Your art that you've developed as a result of being on the mountain is spectacular. It's just
thank you.
spectacular. My hope actually has been for this to be an ongoing thing, and that we're able to expand the number of artists. I also am really hopeful that as time goes on, that we engage in more scientific work on the mountain, and that would be my desire, as well as artistic work.